50 countries have now come together to fight tax evasion through the use of cryptocurrencies. Is your country on this list? Also, will the Bitcoin spot ETF be approved possibly in the next 4 days? Believe it or not, that's what some people are saying. And FTX CEO is now suing Bybit for nearly $1 billion. We're going to get into all of it in today's video. If you enjoyed these updates, I appreciate it if you hit the like button. Also, check out learningcrypto.com, the home of the CT Club, where we give you access to everything that we are doing with our cryptocurrencies. I think you'll find it very enlightening. So first, let's go over what's happening with the Bitcoin spot ETF. We have Nate Gerasi, who is the host of the ETF Prime podcast, and he has some thoughts on why there could be a Bitcoin spot ETF passed by November 17th. At the time of this recording, that is in about 4 days. Now, he is saying this because there's been 12 or at least around 12 applications for this spot Bitcoin ETF, some at varying times. And the most recent applications from Franklin Templeton, DEXs, and Global X, these latecomers to the game will actually enter a public comment period of time where if they enter this period before they are passed, the SEC definitely will not pass these during this time of public comment. So they're saying now they're justifying this November 17th date for the approval of all spot ETFs is because if the SEC wants to remain impartial and not to be showing favoritism toward any one ETF application, they should be approving all of these at the same time, possibly including these latecomers as well. So that is a potential deadline, is November 17th. I am kind of skeptical about this. I'm much more convinced personally that these spot ETFs will probably be passed in January when ARK Invest's final deadline for approval denial of their Bitcoin spot ETF will hit. I think it's January 10th. So that's a real deadline for an actual decision from the SEC. And again, if they want to play impartial to all of these ETF approvals, BlackRock included, then possibly they could approve all of them or the majority of them during this January 10th deadline. But there is another pressing matter for the US government. You know, they can't decide how to spend your tax dollars, so there could be a government shutdown happening this week. And if that happens, what will that mean for these approvals of these ETFs? Will they just kick that can down the road, or will they try to approve them all before they have to shut down services for the SEC? We're going to have to wait and see about that one. Let's move on to what's happening with FTX. They are suing Bybit, an exchange based in Dubai, actually, for I think about over $800 million, nearly $1 billion. They're trying to claw it back, because apparently Bybit is a priority, or was a priority customer of FTX, and the employees at FTX knew this. So when it was the days before FTX shut down, days before they stopped withdrawals able to be made, maybe some FTX employees were putting the word out to their big time customers saying, maybe you should take out money now while you still can. Bybit being one of them. They were actually able to withdraw a large amount of funds shortly before the shutdown of FTX. And in fact, again, these accounts were marked as a priority by these FTX employees. So the new CEO of FTX, and now managing the bankruptcy proceedings of FTX, is now suing Bybit for apparently taking advantage of this priority position because they made a withdrawal so close to the time before the shutdown. They can possibly claw back these funds. It's just ironic here that because Bybit was treated this way intentionally by FTX before the time of the bankruptcy, they were able to get their funds back. And now, I mean, come on, if you had a little insider note that FTX was going to go down, wouldn't you try to get your funds out as well? I feel like that's just common sense, especially if you're running a business like an exchange, like Bybit. Probably their user funds were involved in this as well. So yeah, that's another note of what's going to happen to if Bybit has to pay back these funds to the bankruptcy court of FTX. Is that user funds on Bybit and you didn't know it. Maybe you were a depositor of Bybit and you didn't know your funds were being stored on FTX as well. There's just a lot of irony here, a lot of special favors, a lot of advantageous activity always happening between these centralized platforms. And it's always happening behind closed doors. This is not on-chain activity that can be audited and verified by the public. Anyway, another reminder for you to get your coins off of an exchange if you don't want to use it as a storage option. I do not recommend that whatsoever. Consider a hardware wallet. Trezor, Bitbox, Cold Card, those are all really great options for you. Now let's talk about these 50 countries, 50 countries that have come together to form an agreement to share information about cryptocurrency transactions occurring on cryptocurrency exchanges within their jurisdiction and to share them with each other to avoid tax evasion through the use of cryptocurrencies. This one is being led by the UK. They really want to get this done, and they've had quite a few countries come on board. Just to name a few, we have, Japan, Mexico, Korea, Brazil, Italy, South Africa, Romania, Canada, Spain, Switzerland, Germany, South Korea, France, and Singapore. That's just so far. This coalition is called CARF, which is the Crypto Asset Reporting Framework, which again will facilitate communication between crypto exchanges across these jurisdictions. So let's say you're a tax resident of any of these countries listed and you have exchanges in different countries and maybe you're trying not to report what's happening on these. These could potentially very soon be communicating with each other whether you are voluntarily reporting this or not. But CARF won't be implemented till about 2027. So we have some years to figure it out until then. That means you have some years to figure out how to self-custody and how to use decentralized exchanges. Highly recommend those. That's going to wrap it up for today's episode. If you enjoyed this, I appreciate it if you hit the like button and hit subscribe, because I know there's a few of you out there who are watching our videos every single day and not hitting subscribe. I think you're crazy, because if you're not subscribed, you're not going to get notified and you might miss something important. So anyway, be sure to hit like and subscribe. I'll see you tomorrow.